Ladies and gentlemen, the winter 2025 anime season is already heating up the new year, bringing some beloved series back while also debuting some exciting new titles. We got Morphin Time in Another World. This guy live streams his dungeon crawling, along with Not Edis, Not Roxy, and Not Sylphie. Lawsuit incoming. Gohan's patents new Bob physics technology. They have minds of their own. We got 4 old duty sekais in one season. This poor salaryman was poached by the Demon Lord. This graceful Villainess is actually a 52-year-old man. This guy was granted Amazon app powers in Another World before banging the innkeeper in the first episode, then proceeding to cheat on her with a cat girl. And the last one confessed devotion to his sister to create Magicest. This is totally not fairy tale. Totally not. It's totally not. This OP protagonist grants powers through contracts, grants one girl supreme power, grants another girl sandwich-making powers. Lollies on ice. P.S. Protect that smile. COVID, the anime. He got a world tree to piss on him. Rom-com girls are sick of ditherers and are getting desperate. Hey, look, an anime with adults being in a relationship. What the f***? Investigators are dispatched after students reported hallucinations during storytelling hour. Squirrel Shizuka is the cutest damn thing ever. And the award for the worst CGI of 2025 goes to Okitsura. Kana, best girl by the way. John Wick the anime is here. This dude can literally kill with cough drops. This vampire is super thirsty for this boy's blood. Transported to another world, given unlimited power, and creates toilets with holy power that dissolves waste. This band had one of its members collapse on stage, and they left her there on the stage. What the hell is wrong with you? You thought Inukai-san's dog was outrageous? This cat has an elf, cat girl, and a dragon wanting to breed with him. And good morning, Ria Takahashi. As with every season, not everyone can watch every single show. So, I've done all the hard work for you. I've watched 3 to 4 episodes of every single show, and here is my rundown on the best so far. Kicking things off with the returners, without a doubt, 100 Girlfriends Who Really Love You was one of my most anticipated winter series. And damn if it's not delivering so far. Now with Hahari on board, feeding into the whole MILF desires, the chemistry remains some of the best of the harem genre. 100 Girlfriends not only excels at making fun of the tropes of the genre, but also doing a fantastic job of actually humanizing the characters in some way, providing some solid personal conflicts, all the while being carried by an actual likable main lead. Rentaro is just a rare harem protagonist that you just kind of root for. But yeah, so far we got a body swap segment, which was really a lot of fun. It gives us kind of a what-if scenario for each of the characters' archetypes kind of being shifted around. We got a Mama Kusuri, we got a Karane having like big bobs, cool Shizuka, and so much more. Following that, yes, we got introduced to a food dere. Yes, a food dere. She's pissed unless she's full. It's all comedy gold, and I cannot wait for more girlfriends to show up. Also, Kanane and Shizuka, still best girls. Next for my most anticipated returners is Mao Mao the anime. Yes, the Apothecary Diaries is back, and I could not be more overjoyed with its return. The writer for this series has always been genius at balancing deep character dramas, well-crafted mysteries, and just the cutthroat nature of the inner palace itself, constantly pulling me along with engaging narratives that just I can't get enough of. Plus, of course, at the center is Mao Mao, one of my favorite female leads in anime. Her quirky nature, her thirst for mysteries, it always delivers every single episode. Another big returner for me, anyways, is Ishura. I was one of the very few people that actually watched season 1 of this series, and already with season 2, I'm hyped to see where the show can go. For those unfamiliar, the series is kind of like Fate's Day Night, a fantasy world with so many individuals with unique talents, all brought together for a bloody, tragic battle. What makes it so great is how well crafted each of the characters are, and how well they present each of the stories, all the while interweaving the greater story in between. This season's already given us a giant who has an equally giant heart, which, yes, probably means that he's gonna die. We got a hot vampire. We got a hot vampire that's voiced by Naoto Toyama, and damn, I would serve her. I would serve her. Anyhow, PSA, don't sleep on Ishura. If you have a chance to watch it, give it a shot. It's just really fantastic. My Happy Marriage also makes a return, finally having Mio meet the in-laws, which has mostly gone how I'd expected it would go. It definitely has built up some big conflicts that I'm interested to see how they all resolve, but I have to admit that I'm a little mad that Mio decided to put on that maid outfit. Girl, please, you realize how disrespectful that is to your family? Why would you put this stupid maid outfit on? Anyways, Soul Leveling is back as well, and damn, I am so happy to legit say that this season has been actually great. I mean, I like season 1, but it also wasn't great. But no, this season has some actual interesting uses of the mechanics that Sungs has. We also introduced some new characters that are extremely interesting, especially this last episode. I'm just for once really excited to see where the story goes. Like, I'm actually anticipating each episode, which has really got me excited. Oh yeah, and also Cha is still there. And she's great. She looks great in a swimsuit. Everybody's excited for Cha, and she's over there. She's exciting, right? I am also extremely happy to see Toilet Bound Hanako-kun finally coming back. Not those after-school Hanako-kun shorts, the actual show come back. It's finally made its return. I've always loved this series for its likable characters, its beautiful, unique art style, and especially its ability to kind of flip dark and unsettling out of nowhere. The recent episode has a big, massive reveal, and I'm super locked in to see where the series goes from here. And finally, Dr. Stone is back, which I'm super excited to see come back. I've never been like a massive fan of the series, but I've always found it entertaining. I will admit, this season so far, not really been the greatest start, but I'm excited. I'm on board, especially since we're going to America. We're going to America. Anyhow, with the returners out of the way, let's get to the new stuff. Because, hey, if it's a returner, then you're probably already decided if you wanted to watch it or not. I'm not going to convince you otherwise. But let's dive into my top 10 new series of the Winter 2025 anime season. No particular order. Let's get into it. I put this all in a randomizer, and my gosh, the first one that comes up in the list is, of course, my most anticipated and easily right now my number one favorite new anime of the Winter 2025 anime season. Yes, Flower and Asura. This series has been absolutely incredible. If you're a fan of sound euphonium, if you like slice of life shows, this is the show for you. Anything with some nice drama and whatnot in it, you should not be overlooking the show. Yes, one of my initial reasons why I was invested in actually checking out the show is because Studio Bine was actually working on it, and I love Studio Bine and the stuff they come out with. But additionally, yes, when I found out that the sound euphonium writer wrote this story as well, it's like, holy crap, I love sound euphonium, so let's see what else this writer can do. And my gosh, within the first episode, I was already sold. And then I got into the second episode, and I'm like, I'm keeping with it. Like, it wasn't just a fluke. This writer knows what they're doing. It's a story about a girl that likes to do recitals. They like to read story to other people, and she's really good at it. Everybody kind of gets swept up in the story that she's telling. Well, she ends up catching the attention of this club leader for this broadcasting club, and that person kind of invites her to come join their club, at which point we meet a bunch of different members, all have their own reasons for joining the broadcasting club. Some like to do recitals, some like to do announcements, some like to do sound effects and whatnot they can broadcast over radio or whatnot. And very quickly, they're doing a great job of establishing each one of these characters and what their driving force is. And yes, a lot of different conflicts that they're facing. Take, for instance, An. She was very much so into recital, but at some point she realized that she was much more suited doing announcements. So she's kind of giving up her dreams to go towards something that she's more suitable for. So it's already getting into the concept of giving up your dreams for something that's more efficient. So far, the visuals are fantastic. The characters are fantastic. The way it's kind of pacing everything is working out very well for me. And I just cannot wait for more. Easily, like I said before, my number one show of the season so far, if you're not counting the returners. Moving on, cat girls with pots, pretty boys, and yes, a 52-year-old dad becoming the Villainess. Yes, from Bureaucrat to Villainess, Dad's been reincarnated. This show is probably one of my biggest surprise of the season so far. Yeah, I kind of seen the PV art for it and whatnot, and I was like, okay, this kind of looks a little bit bonkers, but I was not prepared to actually really enjoy this show. Yes, the concept is a 52-year-old man who ends up getting hit by a truck-kun, gets transported into the body of the Villainess of an otome game. And this is kind of where it starts to get a little bit goofy, and the idea that, yes, he really quickly realizes, because he used to be an otaku, he really quickly realized that, oh, I'm the Villainess, I gotta take on the Villainess role. But unfortunately, just his innate nature of being a dad and being a good person and a businessman constantly comes to the forefront. So even though he goes up to the main character of the otome game and tries to kind of reprimand her just like the Villainess would, do something dastardly. I gotta be a Villainess character. Every single time some nature about him pops up. So his dad nature pops up, and he starts praising the main character about how much work her parents put into, getting her into this school. And then this girl just absolutely falls in love with the Villainess instead. It's kind of getting that whole nature where, yes, it's the Villainous character where they're trying to be bad, but everybody takes it wrong and actually ends up liking him. But it's more so in nature that his own self inside of this body just kind of comes across wrong because he's just a good guy. He's just a good dad, good businessman that just seems to kind of seep out there and mess with his desire to, again, be the Villainess. It's absolutely quirky. I actually really like the main character. I love the crazy stuff that he pulls off, like the whole cafeteria scene where he just desperately wants to thank the chef for a good meal. So he just gracefully walks out there and praises the chef, tells him, tell the chef it was a great meal. And then everybody sees how beautifully he pulled it off, and they all want to praise the chef too. It's just super goofy. I'm loving it a lot more than I thought I would. Hoping that it doesn't get repetitive, but for now, I'm really enjoying it. Moving on, yes, get your MAPPA jokes out of here. MAPPA's making a show about animating, even though it's not making it about animating. It's a show about a movie series that's being made that is being delayed, and everybody's being overworked. But thankfully, unlike a lot of people trying to make jokes about this Zenshu show, I'm actually watching it, so I understand the story. I've seen so many posts at this point that are saying, hey, Zenshu, the story about a girl who ends up getting trapped in the anime they're making. It's like, that's not what the story is about. It's about an animator that's overworked. No, it's a director. She's the one causing it to delay. It's a MAPPA show about a director who won't make the damn storyboards and everybody's waiting for her to finish it. That's what Zenshu is about. And honestly, coming into this series, I set my expectation levels like 0 because I really didn't feel like I was going to enjoy the show, mainly because of the writer. The writer did Yurideko and Eden. It's a very safe writer. They don't do anything that's really kind of shocking or very creative. They're a very safe and simple writer. I was bored out of my mind with Yurideko. So far, though, coming into the show, yes, it looks great. MAPPA's doing a fantastic job. They're really nailing this kind of aesthetic of, again, technically this is about a director who's kind of at a writer's block with their storyboards. Everybody's wanting her to finish this romance movie that she's writing, and she ends up getting food poisoning and wakes up inside of the world of this anime that she watched a long time ago that everybody seemed to hate, but she watched it so many times because it was like super brutal, and she didn't really understand a lot of things about it. But now she's in that fantasy world, and she's with the hero, and they're fighting off bad guys. Every now and then she'll be told, you need to draw. And suddenly this drawing desk will appear and she'll be able to do like the key arts to actually draw like a monster to fight the bad guys. And that's kind of the shtick. Every single episode, some bad guys show up, she draws, and then something is summoned that will attack the bad guys and save the hero's party. But overall, visually, it looks really good. It's got solid kind of pacing to it and everything, but I am starting to see that it's getting repetitive in the idea of what I just said, the monster per week, basically, and then kind of getting a little bit into the characters that were introduced from the movie itself, and she's basically explaining how the story is going. I haven't really got a sense here of something kind of impactful coming around this story, besides maybe possibly her not being able to save the people around her. My assumption from the very beginning was going to be the idea of her discovering what love is, her discovering what it means to actually love the people around you, because obviously the main character of this movie that she's stuck in really does cherish the people around him. He has really a strong, loving bond with those that are fighting alongside him. But other than that, I can't really see this show doing anything incredible, but so far I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would, so I am actually looking forward to more of this series. Next, yes, the John Wick anime is here. Sakamoto Days is finally here. The better spy family, dare I say. I'm actually really enjoying Sakamoto Days, and the main reason why is that, yes, the concept here is the guy that was an assassin at some point. He ends up finding the love of his life. He gets married. He quits being an assassin, but unfortunately, people want him dead now because you don't just quit being an assassin. The main thing that kind of works for me with Sakamoto Days is that I really love two concepts to it. Yes, one is like the family aspect. It's the idea of giving up all this stuff for the sake of a family. And yes, finding that comfort in having a family. It's really Sakamoto learning what family is and then teaching other people what family is. And it's really wholesome in that regard. But the other side that really works for me is obviously the comedy. And a lot of the comedy that works for me is the unconventional combat. The idea of picking up the spoon and fighting somebody that has a weapon. That kind of idea. He doesn't have like your usual weapons because he doesn't want to kill anybody. His wife will literally divorce him if he kills anybody. So he's always doing things that are not going to be lethal, and it's usually using objects like, a cough drop or something like that to deflect a bullet. It's that kind of stuff that I get a massive kick out. What is he going to do next? And it's always the most absurd stuff that kind of comes up on the screen. I am just thoroughly enjoying it. It's got a decent style to it. I will admit that the animation quality and the characters' designs aren't always on model all the time. It's got its own unique style to it, but I'm just loving it. Like, it's just a very just wholesome and just funny series that I cannot wait for more. Speaking of wholesome, next one is super wholesome, and that's Beheneko. Yes, the elf girl. The elf girl's cat is secretly an S-rank monster. Yes, the most wholesome show that you'll find this season. And yes, make sure to watch it in its full, uncensored glory because it's super wholesome in that regard. Okay, stop. But no, I'm actually really, really enjoying Beheneko. Yes, the joke is, and it's pretty much on point. If you thought Inukai-san's dog was outrageous, check out Beheneko. This show is so freaking wrong in so many ways. But no, I will state, in the idea of actually comparing this to Inukai-san's dog, which for those who don't know is a series about a guy who wakes up as a dog, and then one of his classmates who he really, really likes ends up picking him up and taking him home with her, and then we kind of find out that the girl's kind of crazy, and she likes her dog a lot and does a lot of really lewd things around the dog. That's Inukai-san's dog. With this series, it's kind of the similar concept. It's a soldier who ends up dying, and then he wakes up in the body of a behemoth. A behemoth that's a cub behemoth that looks like a kitten. And at some point, he's in the dungeon, and this girl who's an elf ends up finding him, rescuing him, taking him home, and tending to his wounds, at which point he decides to devote himself to protecting her. And so it kind of goes in this whole idea where them going down dungeons and fighting stuff, him getting powers and all this kind of stuff. And so yes, like Inukai-san's dog, it's an animal person who is, again, experiencing lewd stuff around him. Because yes, turns out that this elf really, really likes him because he saves her life once, and so she really badly wants him. There's an idea of inbreeding between apparently elemental cats, what they think he is, and elves. So she's all for the idea that once he grows up, they can make kids. I don't know. It's crazy like that. And that's where it kind of gets a lot more crazier than even Inukai-san's dog, is that it seems like everybody that he encounters, like Vulcan, the blacksmith cat girl, she badly wants to make babes with him. He ends up defeating a dragon, and the dragon turns into a humanoid person, and that person wants the strong thing seeds. It's crazy like that. But the reason why I think I like it more than Inukai-san's dog is because the overall story just has a lot to the world itself. There's some elements about getting stronger, Arya's past and not being strong enough and seeking to become like the sword saint. Vulcan went to, work alongside them, her possibly being a part of this hero's party in the past. There's actual story here, and there's elements to the magic and the world itself. There's elements to their abilities and whatnot. That's actually keeping it kind of constantly going forward and not always having to rely on lewd stuff. Yes, I'm all for the lewd stuff, but it doesn't rely on it all the time. You maybe get one ecchi segment per episode. For the rest of it, it's just kind of a fantasy setting that has some, character to it. So I'm actually really enjoying it. Yes, if you don't like ecchi, don't watch it. But for those that like it, go ahead. Next, this is another big surprise for me, and that's I Want to Escape from Princess Lessons. This is actually a series that I wasn't thinking I was going to like. Like, I seen the previews for it, and I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think so. But it actually worked out really well for me, and that's a lot to do with the main character. The concept here is that, yes, when this girl, Letitia, when she was very young, her parents came to her and said, hey, we have some big news for you. You're going to get married off, basically. And so even as a young child, she has been basically sent off to the castle because she has to undergo some rigorous training. She has to spend every waking moment in front of this tutor who is just drilling into her head how to be a proper lady. And she is miserable. She's away from her family. She had to leave her family behind. She feels alone. She's scared, and she's just miserable. All the way up until this point where, yes, as she's older and she's now very refined, she goes to the ballroom, goes before the prince, and the prince has another woman at his side. She immediately goes, does this mean what I think it means? And he's like, I think so. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she's like, yes, I don't have to marry the prince anymore. She's super excited. She runs out the door. She's just super happy. But this nature of her kind of outburst in the middle of this ballroom and her goofy nature and being celebratory catches the prince's attention. And suddenly, he chases after her. And thus, after following this, is it, yes, she goes back home. She becomes pretty much like a commoner again, just kind of enjoying life with the commoners. And then he constantly shows up to try to drag her back off to the castle. It kind of gets in the whole idea that she was so drilled into her head being a proper lady that she was just kind of so emotionless. And that kind of off-put him. But now that he sees her true side, he's fallen in love with her. And so he's trying to get her back. Now, again, like I said before, the main reason why I like this show, I don't care for the prince. Because, yes, it kind of rubs me wrong that he was with some other woman in this ballroom. They kind of explain it a little bit, but it's still extremely wrong. This guy suddenly is super into her the moment that she has an outburst. And it's like, dude, where were you? It kind of feels a little wrong, but he's trying to wiggle himself back into there. He's trying to show what a good person he is. And so he's kind of starting to develop for me. But a lot of what I love about this show is just Letitia. The princess character here is just... she's super dorky. I love her nature. She's super snarky. She has a little bit of spunk to her that's super entertaining. Every now and then they get these little bits where suddenly she'll break the fourth wall, where you'll hear this chime and then suddenly she's talking to the viewer. And most of the time it has a funny little punchline to it. I love her interactions with her brother, her interactions with her maid. It's just some of the most fun little scenes that they've had in the series so far. But I'm really enjoying it, very much so surprised by it, and I cannot wait for more. Next, another big shocker for me, the Red Ranger becomes an adventurer in another world. Yes, Morphin Time in another world. Just when you think that Japan has pretty much milked the isekai genre, we've done it all, suddenly they're like, hey, what if we do Super Sentai in another world? Here it is. It's right here. And I'm really, really loving this show. I knew based on just, outside looking in, it was going to be an absurd concept. The idea that, yes, this boy who was the Red Ranger gets transported to another world. He's in a fantasy setting. At some point, he answers this call by this mage who's trying to become the scepter of this kingdom. answers the call to kind of come there and do a trial challenge. She's trying to look into magic and whatnot. He comes there, transforms into his Red Ranger form, destroys this this golem that she created, and she's the entire time on the sideline going, wait, he transformed? Wait, what the... Why was there an explosion behind him? You know, typically with the Super Sentais, they do their pose and suddenly there's an explosion behind him. She's like, why was there an explosion? Why does he have all these terrible names to his attack? Why did this thing explode just because he punched it? The best way that I could explain it is like all the things that non-Super Sentai fans have, like the Power Ranger fans have, it's like all the questions that we have about why it functions that way. Literally, this mage of this other world is asking the same question. And yes, really, I think a lot of the enjoyment from the series is how absurd the concept is for him to be there and how the mage reacts to it. Every expression that she has where she's screaming like, Nani, what the hell is going on the screen? Why is he so powerful? Why do we all have to carry this cannon and have this power of friendship thing between us in order to shoot the cannon? It seems like it's to have a cannon that requires us to all be of like-minded seems very absurd. It's that kind of stuff that really does get me. I just love this show. I love the mage girl. Her reactions are just priceless. The fact that he has like a guild card that's literally like a commercial for the show itself. It's so dorky. I'm loving it. I cannot wait for more. Next, easily up there is one of my top maybe 3 shows of the winter season so far is Medalist. My gosh, Medalist has been pure gold. It was pun unintended there. Medalist, for those who don't know, is about a guy who's a failed figure skater. He got into figure skating way too late, and he feels like he's just not really adequate to training other people. At some point, he ends up meeting Inori, who is this girl who is getting into figure skating very late, so he feels like he has sort of a commonality with her. Back when I was younger, I waited too long to get into it. Here, this girl, she's getting into it late, and she's getting to that point where if she doesn't start now, she'll never make it big. Seeing himself in her, he really wants to devote himself to coaching her and getting her onto the ice rink and getting her into the nationals and whatnot. A lot of the story, a lot of the hook that I have for this show so far is, yes, kind of the commonality between those two characters, the drama that's very much so parallel between the two main characters. But yes, a lot of it has to do with Inori's kind of struggle in her own life, trying to find something that she loves, seeking out something that will make her unique to other people, because even in her classroom, nobody wants her help with a lot of things because she's not good at a lot of things. She wants to find that one thing that makes her special. And so it's something that she's driven for. And yes, as he's kind of put it, she's running out of time. There's a lot of fears of regret, not having the time that you need, trying to seek out to be like somebody else, that driving force that kind of pushes you forward. And I think it's been done so beautifully so far. I love Inori's character. I just root for her the entire time I'm watching the damn show. I think it's great. Her meeting Hikaru later at some point, I think it kind of established a really nice rivalry between the two characters, and I cannot wait to see where it goes from here. But loving it to death. Visually looks really great. They are using CGI for a lot of the, performances and whatnot, but I think they did a really good job of kind of matching the models of the 2D characters so far. And the directing around the actual skating has been absolutely phenomenal. So really fantastic series. If you're looking for a really solid drama sports series, I think it's going to just have a feeling that it's going to actually turn into something really great. For my next one, we have the Ria Takahashi show. Yes, I may be a guild receptionist, but I'll solo any boss to clock out on time. My gosh, this show has been an absolute treat for me. Not only the fact that, yes, I love my guild receptionist, and I think that guild receptionists in most fantasy shows don't get enough attention, but add to the fact that, yes, Ria Takahashi is voicing the main role, the main character, Alina, and she is doing a phenomenal job. I haven't had this great of a performance from Ria Takahashi since probably like Megamin here recently. Like, she just does a great job with Megamin. Like, Megamin is Ria Takahashi. I feel like Alina of this show is Ria Takahashi. She carries this show. She carries this show. For those that don't know what the series is about, is again about our guild receptionist. She decided really young that she wanted to become a guild receptionist because it's a really stable job. She doesn't like the idea of being an adventurer, all that overtime that you have there. But unfortunately, when she becomes a guild receptionist, she has a lot of overtime because whenever the people go out to do different jobs and different quests, if they're too late on it, whatnot, it leaves her with a bunch of paperwork. And so, yes, she takes matters into her own hand and dives down the dungeon and takes out the bosses for them. And unfortunately, she gets caught by a leader of a very well-known party, and that guy wants to make her a part of his group, and she really doesn't want to have anything to do with it. She literally says, if you tell anybody that I'm down there doing that, I'm going to take you out. Which, yes, can work because she's extremely powerful. She actually has like a very rare ability that people used to be able to obtain from the gods back in the day. She gained that ability because she was praying for some method to get out of overtime, which was granting her the ability to wield this massive hammer. But like I said before, the main reason why this show works so well is it's a really cool kind of look into the lives of the receptionists, the guild receptionists, and all the stupid stuff they have to deal with, being behind that counter, dealing with annoying adventurers, having to, yes, work overtime because people won't get the job done fast enough. And yes, in the midst of it all is the reactions of, yes, Alina, voiced by Ria Takahashi, being extremely annoyed by whatever she's dealing with. You kind of have that whole thing where she's sitting at the counter and somebody's being like irate or whatever, and she's got that really cute smile on, which her character design, by the way, is absolutely adorable. I love her design. She's got that cute little smile on, but at the same time, inside of her, she's literally cussing them out and saying, get the hell out of here, you're causing problems. Just the spunk that this character has and how it's being portrayed is just pure gold. I love Alina's character. I love Ria Takahashi. It's been a fantastic series so far, and I just cannot wait for each episode that comes out. And the last new show I want to spotlight is Medaka Kuroiwa is Impervious to My Charm. This show so far has been pretty decent. There's a lot about this show that's actually really working for me. The series is about this girl who is Mona. She is like very beautiful. Everybody loves her. They think she's gorgeous. She's the queen bee of the town / school that she goes to. Well, there is one big problem that she has. This boy that transferred into their school 2 weeks ago doesn't give her any attention. Unlike most people who are all fawning over her and want her attention, are just in love with her, this boy, Medaka Kuroiwa, doesn't want to have anything to do with her. Whenever she kind of flaunts at him and looks cute or pretty or whatever and tries to get his attention, he just has this really mean face on. And what we get is kind of a series of events where she tries to do something like flaunt something at him, show something of herself to him, and him just constantly turning around and giving a nasty look. Until eventually we have this little moment where she just literally bears all in front of him in the nurse's office. She ends up kind of stumbling over in frustration, like, why won't you pay attention to me? Why can't I get your attention? He ends up catching her to, prevent her from hitting the floor. And she gets super flustered. What it kind of turns into is this idea that while she was trying so desperately to get his attention, she suddenly realizes that she's kind of into him. At the same time, yes, we find out that he's actually like the heir to a temple. So he's got that whole like monk thing going on where he's not supposed to have any interaction with females. And so it's kind of a reason why he can't really be around her, despite the fact that internally he is literally screaming like, holy crap, this girl is so cute. It's that whole thing. I can't touch this. At the same time, she's going, I want him to touch me. But at the same time, I'm now realizing what true love is. And I think that's where I'm really enjoying the show. I don't really care so much for Medaka right now. Yes, he's a monk. He's constantly going, oh my gosh, I really like her, but I can't say anything. But my enjoyment is really around Mona and the idea that she is a girl who's, let's be honest, in love with herself. She thinks that she's the greatest thing ever. People have fueled her ego to the point where it is bloated beyond belief. But what we're kind of finding out is that she's now learning what it's like to actually gain somebody's attention, actually being able to capture somebody. And yes, the idea of actually loving somebody, which I think could turn into some really cute stuff. So far, I think a lot of my enjoyment is really around her reactions, her frustrations, and yes, her kind of being flustered about situations. My favorite moment was really when she goes to the roof and thinks that she can probably say, I like you, Medaka, and that'll fluster him, but she can't say it because she realizes there's weight to it now, and she just like struggles to get the words out before she finally just says, you're a lecher, instead of saying I like you. It's super cute. I really like her character. There's a nice sprinkle of ecchi throughout the series, maybe like 1 or 2 shots per episode, and it's just kind of given enough a little bit of a tease there to kind of keep it going. So I've enjoyed it so far. I'm pleasantly surprised by it overall, and I cannot wait for more. That's it. That's my top 10 new shows of the season so far. All this stuff can change. Some of this stuff can just completely go downhill from here. Some of this stuff can get better. We'll see. Honorable mentions, Daily Life of Middle-Aged Online Shopper in Another World. It's been a decent show. It's very much so campfire cooking in Another World, but with this one, it seems like he bangs everybody, which is interesting. Welcome to Japan, Mrs. Elf has got an interesting concept there. I'm looking forward to seeing where that one goes. Momentary Lily, I like Gohans. They do some stupid stuff, but I like Gohans. And yes, like I said at the beginning, it's got some good physics. If anything, it's got some good physics to the hair. Not the bobs, the hair. Headhunted to Another World from Salaryman to Big Four has been decent as well. There's a salaryman that's been hired by the Demon Lord, and he basically has to go out and essentially build allies with different races and whatnot for the Demon Lord. So it gets a lot into like different cultures, different language barriers you can face when you're trying to negotiate with different people. It's been decent so far. Okitsura, as much as I hate Millipinzi in the studio that worked on this that looks like garbage half the time. Tangirl's still best girl. There's a love triangle in that show that I'm both frustrated by, but at the same time I'm actually wanting to see where it goes because it's got a cute little kind of relationship that's building in that one. And I'm living with Otaku NEET Kunoichi. It's been okay so far. It's got some funny moments in it. Some of the characters are a little bit too much into their joke, and they kind of repeat those same jokes, but it's been decent so far. And finally, yes, I'm still watching Orb. Absolutely love that show. I just cannot get enough of it. Tying the Knot with Amagami Sisters is still a great show as well. I'm super excited about ReZero coming back next month, as well as Danmachi Season 5 coming back. Both of those shows are going to be literally, I'm just at the window waiting for that delivery to come in. Whenever that box hits my doormat, I'm at it. But yeah, I'm super excited about those coming back. But that's it. That's all the shows I want to talk about. I hope you guys enjoyed this list as always. Hopefully it helps you guys find some great little shows to check out. Let me know in the comments what is your top anime of the winter season so far. Hope you guys enjoyed as always. If you want to support the channel, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate what it does. And until next time, you'll take care.